welcome and thank you for being here. I'm Alessandra Tarquini and I will facilitating this presentation. We are here together for the presentation of the Talitha Kum annual report. It is rich in data, story, testimonies from the sister, allies, partners, survivors, victims all around the world. You will find in it data and critical analysis, but keep in mind that beyond all the statistics, there are faces, there are stories of women, girls, men struggling, hoping, committing, and working for a better life. The report, it details the last year of activities of this amazing network. I can say it, knowing each of the team in Rome and also part of the community all around the world. And it is, yes, keep in mind, it is a working tool. It's not only a report, it's not only a document, but is a working tool for all people committed against human trafficking. As we say, the report tells the true story of Talitha Kum network, and this is really important. It's a result of a shared work, committing, and a work that is international, regional, and local. It involves all the communities. Some housekeeping notes for us. If you have any question, please use the chat or raise your hands using the icon. And the meeting is happening in different languages. You can click on the globe icon and you can find your language. Let's then introduce the panel and the speakers of this presentation. Sister Patricia Murray, Executive Secretary General at the UISG. Sister Abby Avellino, Coordinator at Talitha Kum International. Sister Mayra Cuellar, Talitha Kum International. Giulio Guarini, Associated Professor in Economics, University of Tuscia. The regional coordinators of Talitha Kum, Sister Yvonne Bambara, the African coordinator, Sister Paula, this is really difficult, Quandao Pompraser Truska, sorry for mispronunciation, Sister Adina Balan, Sister Paula is from Asia, she is the Asia coordinator. Sister Adina Balan, the European coordinator. Sister Isabel Cuillat, North America. Sister Carmen Garcia Ugarten from Latin America. Then Marion Paparella from Talitha Kum International. Sister Bernadette Reis, she's a journalist from Vatican News, Vatican Radio, the Dicastery for Communication. Sister Mary John Kudiriupil, again, sorry, Sister Mary John, and she's the Associate Executive Secretary of UISG. My name, as I said, is Alessandra Tarquini. I work for Global Solidarity Fund, an international organization partner of Talitha Kum UISG. As you see, our agenda is really tight. Then let's start, and I give the floor to Sister Patricia Murray, Sister Pat, for some words of greetings.
Thank you very much, Alessandra. It's with great pleasure that I introduce this session, because I think in presenting this extraordinary report, we can see the dedication and creativity of thousands of sisters and their lay collaborators in many parts of the world, and the efforts that have been achieved in trying to combat the scourge of human trafficking. As Alexandra said, behind the figures are stories, are faces of millions of men, women, and children whose lives and whose vulnerable lives make them targets for the traffickers. I believe myself, wherever the dignity of one person is denied, or when one person is exploited or dehumanized, we are all dehumanized. Pope Francis keeps saying to us, say no to the culture of indifference. And he speaks about, and I love this expression, he speaks about having a restless love, a love that doesn't tolerate indifference, a love that has compassion. So I think when people take up and read this report, and you represent the hundreds and thousands of people whose lives and faces are in this report. When people take up this report, they need to read it. It's a tool, as Alessandra said. It's not just a document to be read through and put aside on a coffee table. This is a document that calls us to reflection. It calls us to widen the tent of our hearts. It calls us to deepen our compassion. And perhaps as people read, something will strike them in a new way and invite them to move towards action and reflection in their own context. Because this document is a tool for transformation. It's asking each person who reads it to commit, to seek to find new ways of working together to transform our societies, so that we keep saying no to a culture of indifference and no to the exploitation of human beings. Because we're called to be promoters of human dignity. You know, at Talitha Kum, you have been weaving networks for good, locally, nationally, and internationally. And it's only in developing these networks, these collaborative partnerships with others, with people of goodwill, with people of different faiths, that we can tackle this scourge. A scourge that is often hidden in plain sight. So we need to have new eyes, new ears, and new awareness in order to be able to identify the exploitation that so many suffer. You know, restless love that Pope Francis speaks about calls us to ask hard questions, calls us to commit ourselves in a new and deeper way each day, calls us to speak out to opinion makers, to decision makers and policy makers, asking them to take more radical action in apprehending and prosecuting the perpetrators. I want to give thanks as I end to all of you who are here today, and to all connected with you who are part of the extensive networks of Talitha Kum, and in a sense, whose activities and efforts are written in the pages of this report. You know, this is a common effort, a global effort by Catholic sisters and their collaborators to reach out to those who are most vulnerable and most at risk. We're trying to combat those contexts of vulnerability where people's own vulnerabilities and their dreams are exploited. There's an underground network of traffickers that flourish. We're an overground network of people of goodwill with restless love who seek to combat this evil. And so I call on all of us, on all those who will read this report, reflect and contemplate this report, to say no to indifference, which disfigures human dignity, and a strong yes to compassion, and a strong yes to a restless love that restores life and brings hope. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Sister Pat. Thank you. Thank you. And now we go deeply into the report with Sister Abby Avellino, the International Coordinator of Talitha Kum. She will present the report and also the vision beyond it.
Thank you
Please,
so much.
Sister Rabbi.
Thank you so much, Alexandra, and thank you all, and good morning and good afternoon and good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us today, and happy to see many familiar faces. It's good to see you all. Thank you so much, Sister Pat, for your inspiring and encouraging opening remarks. It's also our really pleasure to present to you, especially the 2022 annual report. So I will give you on my part, I will give you just to give you an overview of the annual report for 2022, which I hope you all find and trigger an interest to read this comprehensive report. As what I echo Sister Pat, is not only it's about the figure, but also it's the heart of our sisters and brothers who work in this field. I hope you find it interesting, not only about your region, but also or area, but also at a global context, especially on sharing of best practices. This report was gathered and prepared by our team here at International, of course, through our network's contribution from all over the world. This report wouldn't have been made possible if not of your collaboration and also cooperation. So thank you so much. Again, this report will be available online as last year. It's going to be digital platform. And I also encourage you to visit our brand new website. I hope you enjoy this report. Today is also marked the World Day Against Child Labor, initiated by UN, June 12th. So according to the UN report, 160 million children are still endangered in child labor. The Africa, Asia, and the Pacific regions together account 9 out of 10 children in child labor worldwide. So as Talitha Kum, we try our effort in responding to ending child labor, forced labor, and human trafficking in global supply chains. So as you find in this effort from this annual report, as we reach many people globally, the year 2022 demonstrates significant quantitative and qualitative growth. Talitha Kum has grown into a network of networks that reaches more than 500,000 people worldwide. And to be exact, it's 560,606 people. That means this is an increase of 40% compared to 2021. And of course, this is due to you, our sisters and brothers in the field who work tirelessly to carry out Talitha Kum's many areas of action, particularly in prevention, care for victims, advocacy, and networking. As like Alexandra mentioned, this is a very rich report. Not only the data, the stories, the testimony, and critical analysis. There are stories of hope and gratitude for the work of our sisters, priests, brothers, laities, our partners present on 5 continents, in 58 intercongregational networks in 97 countries to this date. Last year, new Talitha Kum networks were established in 2022. These were in Mali, Ivory Coast in Africa, and as well in Bolivia. I'm also happy to announce that to share that there's a continued conversation with several countries that are willing for potential establishment of Talitha Kum networks, particularly in Africa, North Africa predominantly, and also in Asia, and Puerto Rico and Nicaragua in Latin America. So the past year has been one of the most challenging one due to many interrelated crises. That's the impact of COVID-19, as many of you know. The conflicts in many countries, like in Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Syria, Burkina Faso, Venezuela, all over the world. And predominantly the war in Ukraine, which has been caused distress for millions of people. And devastating natural disasters as consequences of the climate change. All of these crises are having a direct impact on human trafficking worldwide. Later on, Sister Myra will present you detailed figures of the global figures of this report. So at this point, I would like just to give you briefly the number of members of Talitha Kum worldwide decreased by 9% compared to 2021. As many women religious congregations to face with a declining membership, thus resulting a challenge in their active participation and involvement in Talitha Kum networks. However, men's religious congregation participation has increased by 13%. But in spite of the challenges that we have witnessed, as I mentioned earlier, our members continue to respond to the call to action by caring, healing, empowering, and being involved with the lives of victims and survivors, and those population at risk of trafficking and exploitation. So in line with this, Talitha Kum's call to action, as many of you know, it was endorsed and ratified by the UISG in 2021. This has become an instrument, tool, and guide to keep us moving forward to concrete action. I echo Sister Pat mentioned earlier, this is a call for transformation. We continue to call on all relevant actors and stakeholders to join our journey to realize the power of change. It is a call to action for us as the church, together with civil society, NGOs, other organizations, to work along the sides of governments, international organizations, and other agencies. Last year as well, the involvement of young people was also highlighted in this report. Talitha Kum Youth Ambassadors of Anti-Trafficking Program has grown and expanded worldwide. We began in Asia, moving to Oceania, now in Africa and Latin America. The youth ambassadors have been taking their commitment to be a protagonist among their peers in raising the voices of young people with courage and hope. And this can attest by our sisters and brothers at the grassroots, how these young people are really involved in this campaign. Another highlight I would like to stress is the strong collaboration with other regions or interfaith-based group, which is marked by 31% growth in 2022 at local, global, and as well as regional levels. Particularly, this is very strong in Asia, Africa, and Oceania. Talitha Kum involvement in raising awareness and empowerment of the survivor is significantly highlighted, visible in American and African continents. But of course, we cannot underestimate the work in the area of advocacy at the national level. But significantly, this area is very strong achievement by the European and American and Oceanian networks. So at the international level, we also continue to collaborate with the international organizations and agencies, many more partners, organizations for mutual support and coordination in tackling this issue. But not only condemning human trafficking, but also denouncing its causes. Again, we continue our journey towards the dignity as we move forward to our 15th anniversary in 2024. Later on, you will hear from our colleague here that our concrete action step as we move forward, as we continue to our 15th anniversary in 2024. Lastly, I would like to conclude in gratitude to our UISG, especially to Sister Pat Murray and Sister Nadia Kopa, to General Superiors worldwide for their continued support of sisters involved in this ministry, to Talitha Kum International Committee, and to all people with whom we journey together, especially our collaborators, our partners organization, victims and survivors of trafficking and exploitation. I just would like to end this as we continue this conversation this afternoon, the story of one survivor as she had hope and courage to stand up. And I quote, "The day came when I was ready to go home. I had the strength to start again. I longed to resume work in a small kiosk of my own, as I did in a few years at the war. The Sisters of Talitha Kum made this dream possible. 2 years have passed. I now live in Uganda, have my own kiosk, and continue to receive spiritual commitment, accompaniment, and I'm supported to continue my healing journey and rebuild my life in dignity." And this is the words of hope that you and I are continue this journey together. So thank you so much. I really open for any conversation as we begin this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Rabbi. Now, it's time for the data analysis. And then, as you know, as we say, the collection of data in the activities of Talitha Kum is really crucial, was crucial for this report. And it means that to collect data, you need email exchange, call, connection, dialogue, time, quality time also with all the network, all the communities, all the representative of Talitha Kum all around the world. The responsible of this huge work was Sister Mayra Cuellar from Talitha Kum International. This year she worked with Silvia Di Risio, a student in master degree Economics and Communication Management and Innovation from La Sapienza University of Rome and University of Tuscia. Sister Mayra, is your turn.
Muchas gracias, Alessandra. Yo hablo en español.
Thank you very much. I'm going to speak in English. It is a pleasure to be here with you. And yes, I would like to thank Silvia, because together with her we have worked, analyzed the data that we're going to present to you. As you know, Talitha Kum's data is collected through 2 semi-structured questionnaires that are part of the database of Talitha Kum. The data that we are going to present now are referred to the year 2022 from January to December, and were recollected also during the previous months. And the majority of the networks responded to the questionnaire. So the data we are going to present are based on the national networks that are the base unity of the network, but also include some data of some regional networks in Europe due to some different organizations. And we will present also the benefited people. The questionnaire, Well, there are two questionnaires. The census first, that includes the data referring to the number of members, subdivisions, organizations with whom the network works. When we speak about the second questionnaire, we speak about activities and about networks per area of action, the main areas of action, which are prevention, care for victims, access to justice, and networking. And right now I will present the data, and you have the opportunity to contemplate, to read the data. I would like now to share my screen. So 2022 presented a quantitative growth and qualitative growth as well of Talitha Kum network. We are speaking about new networks, as Sister Abby mentioned, two national networks, two in Africa and one in Latin America. We are speaking about here a growth also of the country of presence of Talitha Kum from 92 to 97 countries. When we speak about countries of presence, we are speaking about the countries that are called of contact as well, countries of contact. We do not have a constituted network yet, but there are people and groups of people that are working in connection with the networks against human trafficking at a grassroots level. So here we speak also about a extended coordination of the network. We have 13 regional coordinations, and I would like to take the African example. The national networks in Africa, we have countries of contact and regional networks for the proximity of the country, but also thanks to the language. So that allowed them to work better and to be able to do a work, an activity in network which was more efficient, and you will see that in the report. And those two new networks in Africa and their members, their activities worked very well. Speaking about the members and collaborators, active people in the networks, the personnel, and also religious congregations, we have highlighted in 2022 a slight decrease. We are speaking about a 18% decrease in Asia and Europe. We think that there are different factors that impacted this decrease. For example, a new organization after the pandemic, so some networks had to reorganize themselves, so that was a challenge. Or maybe it is possible also that that was caused by the different conflicts present in the regions. In that category of members, we think that the majority are volunteers that identify themselves with the values of Talitha Kum, but also some people that receive a remuneration, so they are skilled persons, and yes, they are skilled persons that can work in the different areas of Talitha Kum, and they help us. Speaking about the religious congregation, as Abby already mentioned, there is a decrease of 9%. We have saw that already from 2020. We have perceived that in our networks. So this maybe we can see that in different continents, but sometimes the dynamics of the religious congregations are different. And this impacts also the personnel of the religious congregations, and also once more it can be caused by the new organization after the pandemic. Then 18th networks have said that they collaborate with different organizations, and we have seen that in Africa, Asia, and Oceania. This is a new factor. And this is the first time that we have this specific data. Speaking about the activities, as we mentioned, we have seen a growth of 40% compared to 2021. This is due also this is also thanks to the different digital means after the pandemic. So we use the traditional means and also social networks. We are speaking here about radio, television, and especially in some continents as Africa and Asia. But this higher number maybe is due to the involvement, commitment of the youth ambassadors that are very much involved in many continents. Speaking about the prevention activity, it is one of the most privileged and developed activity of the network. We have seen a growth of 40% compared to 2022. We are speaking about different campaigns and awareness raising campaigns, short and long-term programs. The beneficiaries have been educators, religious, community leaders, youth, local authorities. Speaking about the protection activity, we have a 56% increase compared to 2021. We are speaking here about activities where the sisters seek a safe place for the victims and survivors. We are speaking about material, economic, psychological, and spiritual support. Speaking about access to justice, this is a very important data for us because this shows a qualitative increase, which is to say this area of action has always been less developed in our network, but in 2022 we saw an increase of 28% compared to 2021. So we have the reporting of cases and accompaniment in courts until the indemnization of the victim. Speaking about the networking activity, we have seen a growth of 30% of the people benefited people, compared to 2021. We have seen international, local collaboration, but also collaboration with other organizations, Catholic, non-Catholic, governmental and intergovernmental organizations. This has opened and has made room for the political advocacy. We have shown also the best practices that we wanted to share, and we have to highlight that in Oceania, for example, this process of collaboration, advocacy, was a change in the law to guarantee the rights for the migrants and workers in the region. So I hope that you can read the report, especially thanks to Giulio's intervention. Maybe it will be easier to read the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Myra. Yes, you called, sorry, I need to change. Okay. Yeah, Thank you, Myra. You called the expert. Then now is the turn of Professor Giulio Guarini. Giulio Guarini is an associate professor in economics in University of Tuscia. He supported the research, the analysis of the data, and he was also supervising the work that Myra and Silvia Di Risio did. Thank you, Giulio.
Grazie a tutti, grazie per l'invito.
Thank you all, and thank you for the invitation. It is an honor for me to be here today participating in this event and to give my small contribution. Just a few reflections that originate in the elaboration of the data that were drafted by Silvia Di Risio, the student, together with my colleague, Ms. Benedetti, and I thank Mayra and Sister Epi for having involved us in this work, which truly has been a challenge because it truly attempts to study data, analyze data, because my first impression is that there is a great richness of data and information, which could be really useful if well communicated and well elaborated and analyzed, which would be useful for those working within the network, but also to all those who could need some understanding of the work they are doing. A few minutes just to speak about networking, if I may, which is the first thing, the main thing about this big network that you have created. So first of all, data is important. Data is precious, is really precious, and it's important to analyze the activities of Talitha Kum. And I would like also to add that it's very difficult to obtain it without the understanding of different trends and sceneries. It's difficult to think or to even picture the future and to develop new plans. Talitha Kum is a great example of international network which is growing. Just two things to prove that. In 2021, in comparison to 2021, 2022 increased, in 22 they increased the number of victims that were cared for 40% more approximately. So as it has been said already, this networking activity has increased of about 30%. So the network in itself, Talitha Kum has a very large network and where all continents are represented, from the bigger ones to the smaller ones. Even Oceania is represented. The networks are made up by, well, the members of the network are religious, but also lay persons, which means that, however, another element is that most collaborators are women, which is a very important element. What strikes is that the Talitha Kum network has a multi-level network. As we have said, it's an international network with made up by regional, local, and networks, and the different organizations vary. We have different actors of change with whom Talitha Kum collaborates, government and non-government associations, Catholic and non-Catholic associations, many different partners. And the approach that Talitha Kum applies is a global one when it comes to human trafficking. You were speaking about this before. Your main work is on prevention, networking, advocacy, human trafficking, networking, and prevention, and then care for the victims. So this allows for so much potential, allowing for Talitha Kum to become a great social promotion element or vector. We speak about innovation so much, but then here is often used to businesses or is referred to increasing market shares or productivity. But then here instead, we are speaking about the potential that your networks, that the networks have. We're even speaking about open innovation in the report, which means the capacity that those networks have to become more creative, more generative, and more open towards groups and not only individuals. And this can also be applied to a social dimension. So if truly Talitha Kum is such a varied network, then this entails that it might reach a very important level of innovation, not only from an organizational perspective, but also when it comes to the activities that are being promoted. And this is thanks to the different opportunities that you offer to share knowledge, to share skills and experiences of life and working experiences that are so varied. So there is a great richness that also entails and requires flexibility because we are very different and also the situations might vary. And beyond this complexity that makes up Talitha Kum, there is a very strong instability because, as it has been said, Talitha Kum is an international network because the potential changes that need to be faced and that are connected with social and political and other realities in the world that might affect the different trends because of the local and regional realities. So certainly to analyze data is very important and is helpful because it allows you to understand over the years if what happened last year is an extraordinary event or it's part of a structural ordinary trend. And if something that is happening is part of a cycle and it's limited, or if it's something that would lead to a structural trend or a structural change. And this is only something you can understand through this very hard work of data collection. Some other data might also be useful to be considered. One has to do with the resources that we have, financial, but not only, that could help us understand the scope of our actions and also identify ambitious objectives. It might also be interesting, and I say this because by reading the report you really feel like wanting to question yourself and maybe even do more. What we could do, for example, in relation with collaborating with public networks, because Talitha Kum is something that is rooted in the context in which we are present. So this initiative of involving the youth is something very important. It should be monitored some way so that we could have some data, maybe little data, but to understand if this opening up to the will of the youth is really paramount. I remember the Day of Prayer Against Human Trafficking that you had in February 2023, which involved so many of these ambassadors. And it would be great to understand if this initiative could really bear fruit in the future and to identify if there is data already available on the work done by these youth. And then maybe it would be good to have more data on the victims that are reached. And then the social element, which is the last item of the work done by Talitha Kum. It would be interesting to understand which are the activities that the network sees itself involved. This would actually help us understand which is the final impact of the different activities, the social impact, the final social impact of the activities of Talitha Kum. Concluding, with these few minutes that I have available, I would say that Talitha Kum is a real example of very efficient networking for human development promotion and needs to keep working in this direction with a strong multi-level governance in order to be able to promote and carry out the various initiatives that are done against human trafficking. I will stop here. I think my time is up. Thank you for listening. Thank you all.
Thank you, Giulio. We know that you have to go to another meeting, but thank you for being with us and also for your recommendation tips. We have then already new idea for the next report. For sure, with Sister Abby, we can start working from tomorrow for the new document, the new report. Then now it's time to investigate the different areas of our of Talitha Kum action. And we will do it with the regional coordinators of Talitha Kum. Sister Yvonne Bambara from Burkina Faso, the regional coordinator for Africa, will present the area of prevention. I give her the floor. You have 2 minutes, Sister Yvonne. Thank you.
Microphone.
Just a sec, we can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself.
Merci beaucoup.
Okay, merci.
Thank you very much. Prevention in the vision of Talitha Kum is constituted of 3 steps. First of all, the prevention, the primary prevention that tends to help every person wishing to migrate, to have better circumstances, life circumstances, and to avoid getting in contact and in touch with traffickers. So the secondary prevention is to help people who are already enrolled in certain tasks in order to help that person to leave her situation so she doesn't feel trapped. Tertiary prevention aims to help the victim to overcome traumas provoked by the experience of being trafficked, to accompany in the healing process, to regain self-esteem and self-trust, to give the person the means not to fall again in a similar situation as a victim of human trafficking. Our practices as Talitha Kum is to lead educational activities in order to help vulnerable people, children, in the markets and other public places, students in their educational spaces, young people and adults in parishes and social groups. We also identify social networks to reach the highest number of people. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Yvonne. And now it's the turn of Sister Paula from Asia, from Thailand. She will talk about networking. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessandra. So to talk about networking, as we see the number from the annual report, I think the networking is the strength of Talitha Kum. We can have, it's amazing and how that 58 networks around the world work together. And then that is how networking, how collaboration very important. And this can become like not only one country that have best practice, but we all the member. We have 97 countries around the world. How that we can work together. This is amazing, right? And then because of this networking, we can reach people 560,000, more than that. If we are not have a network, if we don't have collaboration, we only work in a small group, this will not happen. And that's why very important, the networking collaboration. And with this of the networking collaboration, we can work in the area of protection, access to justice, survivor, prevention, training, and also we have some collaboration with the migrants, and we can have some connection with the law enforcement. that we can help the survivor to receive the compensation or to bring the criminal to the punishment. That also can be a network collaboration that can reach to the goal. And also we can have the level of advocacy that we can work together. If we do alone, we will not make this happen. This is the appreciation of collaboration and networking. And we can see that the development of the networking is getting better and bigger and expanding. We work as a net that covers the world because the evil act appear throughout the world, everywhere. We cannot know where is it happening, when is it happening, but because we have 58 networks around the world, and on that, we have 97 because some country not of official network, but act as a Talitha Kum already. So because we have in many countries in the world, so we can help people, we can combat with this evil act more active and success and getting better in the work. And I think through networking, we're working in parallel, that we are united in one. We have common goal. Although we have some challenge, it's not easy for people that different language come together and work together in one common goal. And now, as what we see tonight, we have a meeting throughout the world. We have different time zones, but we can be together. We can unite together, no matter how early it is, how late it is, but we are here because we want to be one part of this mission, because we believe that Talitha Kum as a network, it will reach our dream to end human trafficking together. And I hopefully that we will expanding our network, and then we will have more collaboration between in our network and outside the network. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Paula. And now Sister Adina, the European coordinator, she will talk about advocacy.
Thank you, Alexandra. In 2022, Talitha Kum European networks stood for legislation that addressed the underlying causes of trafficking, ensured the rights and protective measures of trafficked individuals, and supported survivor leadership in the fight against human trafficking. Considering the war in Ukraine and its impact on human trafficking, Renata Network, for example, organized several meetings and seminars on Ukraine crisis, such as the webinar United Together in Service, where sisters and co-workers from Poland, Romania, and Hungary shared best practices and asked for improved legal protections for survivors in their respective countries. The efforts of Jurat Albania, who organized in collaboration with Clea Puta Academy on October 18th, the 13th UN gift box for raising awareness against human trafficking, it's another example. The campaign promoted ways in which Albanian people can prevent and rescue victims from exploitation and modern-day slavery, fostering effective and holistic human trafficking prevention. Portugal Network, CAVITIP, has developed in 2022 its partnership with other religious bodies and civil society, seeking to develop awareness and cooperation actions for the prevention and blocking of trafficking networks. In Italy, in February 2022, Gregorian Pontifical University organized a 2-day event on eradicating modern-day slavery and the role of religions in it. Sister Monica Chikwe, member of USNI, shared best practices on repatriation of Nigerian victims of human trafficking. A lot has been done in 2022, but I only have 2 minutes and there is a long way ahead of us in 2023 and further. But we know there is nothing we can't accomplish when we work together. And Talitha Kum Europe will continue to support Talitha Kum International and all efforts against human trafficking. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Adina. And now is the turn of Sister Isabel Villar, and she will talk about the human trafficking in North America, the context, the reality.
Thank you very much. I will speak in French. En Amérique du Nord, la majorité...
In North America, the majority...
Just a minute, I hear it. How can I...
She has to change the channel.
Thank you. Oui, excusez-moi. En Amérique du Nord, la majorité des...
In North America, the majority of citizens do not know that we suffer from human trafficking in our continent, probably with the exception of minors who are victims of prostitution. This is a very important element because girls are being recruited 13 years and plus. The majority of the victims are women and girls, 97% in North America. There's one representation of the population, First Nations, the migrants, and persons from communities of LGBTQ and persons from residents, family residents. The number of actions, and particularly in advocacy, continue by religious women, by the allies, and by their partners. We ask our governments to give us open permits for temporary migrants, particularly in the field of agriculture and housekeeping. We witness an increase of number of people migrating from poor countries or oppressed countries towards North America. But we also know that sometimes they arrived in conditions and circumstances that make them more vulnerable. At times, they have difficulty adjusting their documents and papers and having legal residencies or finding jobs. And that's why we go towards the black market, where traffickers do not apply and respect the norms, the work norms that are in vigor. In the States, in the United States, we also fight so the system can recognize the situation of victims of human trafficking. So if they are condemned with crimes, but this happened within a situation of human trafficking. In Canada, we also work on empowerment of women in life and realities of survivors. This helps us shed light on the good practices in different fields and communities. At the end, and very quickly, I would like to share and express my gratitude to Sister Anne Outridge, who was the representative of the North America region. We have to thank her for all the activities that took place because of her in the last years. We're also happy to have her with us because she's still a member of the organization committee, and we will have her as well for the assembly next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now Sister Carmen, and she will talk about care for victims. She's the coordinator for Latin America.
Muchas gracias, Alessandra. Buenos días.
Thank you very much, Alessandra. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, good evening to each one of you. One of the strengths of Talitha Kum is its commitment and care focused on the person beyond every condition. So the care has been a part of our language and prophetic action. So we recognize the strength of the spiritual care as a point of reference to heal and empower and restore the dignity of the people victims of the human trafficking. So this activity of taking care of people is a work of love that implies proximity, dedication, generosity, and also to share our suffering according to the necessity. In conclusion, we could say that the action of caring for victims is the compassion, and it goes where it is needed. To care also means to take risks that we all take, and together with all the people that help us to give hope to those people in Latin America and the Caribbean. We are 8 networks in 15 countries, like Peru, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, and Bolivia. And also in Brazil, we have Tamar Network in Colombia, Raman in Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, Jaire in Costa Rica, Rajamin in Mexico, the network of religious people, also in other countries and in Puerto Rico. So our mission is focused in the prevention of human trafficking in many spaces, and now with the implication also with the youth. We have also activities in care for victims, especially for women and survivors of sexual exploitation in Argentina, Mexico, Dominican Republic, and Colombia, that accompany women in their restoration process and in their empowering, so to have instruments to know how to be respected. They promote projects to empower them and to be part of a new economy. In Bolivia, also they work with children, and they realize process of healing and restoration of their rights. Today, more than ever, we have to walk with open eyes, with an open heart, to transform the complex processes that make many people fall into the hands of the human trafficking. So this is the moment to think about how we care for people. And I thank each one of you, every network, for all that they do every day for people's dignity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, when you write a report, generally you recall 1 year of activity, then the past, but also is the moment when you recall the present and the future. You imagine your future, because you can see the last year, you can see your fragility, the challenges, what you did well, and what you need to improve. Then in the report, you also find the next steps for Talitha Kum and some focus that are also the challenges for the organization. And I call Marion Paparella to talk about the next steps, and in particular she will talk about the International Day of Prayer and Awareness Against Human Trafficking. Marion Paparella from the team of Talitha Kum International.
Merci beaucoup Alessandra. Et merci à vous tous, vous toutes qui êtes connectés avec nous. Merci d'avoir rendu ce rapport possible. On l'a vu à travers.
Thank you everyone for being with us and for making this report. It is very true that working in network is the key to help and to really reach work against trafficking. So looking ahead, looking at 2023, Talitha Kum wishes to reinforce its domains of actions. We had the presentation, prevention, help of the victim, working in network among continents. So we wish the network to reinforce these domains of actions by networking and by collaborating at all levels, local, national, international, when it is within Talitha Kum, but also with other partners, and all the increase we experienced in 2022, and we wish and we hope to increase in the coming years. We also celebrate the journey towards the second assembly of Talitha Kum. The first one took place the 10th anniversary of Talitha Kum in 2019. The next one will be in 2024 for the 15th anniversary. So we started the path to be together for the 15th year and to celebrate all the activities that took place so far. So this report also is the opportunity to shed light on everything we do as a network and what we do with partners. There's another date that is 30th of July, and that is, I'm sorry, day to fight trafficking. We also had the initiative to launch online the healing cards, and it was also very important to, through the photos, to talk about victims, their faces and their stories, and to show the relationships they have with the sisters and how they continue to work together. And the report also highlights 8th of February initiative, the International Day for Prayer and Reflection Against Human Trafficking. Every year on the 8th of February, we meet together to pray. In 2022, we were able to gather more and more people. It is the same in 2023. And as you know, we had the opportunity to bring together 15 representatives. And we also had the Pope, who encouraged Talitha Kum to keep on working and to keep on reinforcing their engagement against trafficking, and particularly the youth, young people, to bring hope wherever is needed. And that's why he opened the year dedicating it to the youth, starting 8th February 2023 and up to 8th February 2024. Talitha Kum organized several initiatives this year, and we're always finding new people who are very devoted and wishing to engage against trafficking. And that's why we will be also present in the International Days of Youth in Lisbon in August 2023. There's also the launching of an application which is entitled Walking in Dignity. The application could be used by young people to bring awareness against human trafficking and to bring this message into their communities, and all these initiatives that will be launched step by step to walk together towards the International Day of Reflection and Prayer, 8th February 2024, which will also be the occasion to celebrate the 10th anniversary of that day. Many things, many initiatives will take place in the coming months. Thank you for your engagement. It gives me a lot of hope personally, and also I think of all the people we are able to touch and reach together. Thank you.
And now we can say that we did a virtual tour of the report. And now I pass the floor to Sister Bernadette Reis. She's a journalist from Vatican News, Vatican Radio. She works for the Dicastery for Communication of the Holy See in the Multimedia Editorial Coordination. She is also in the coordination of the sister project for the Dicastery. And we share with her the report as soon as we finish it 10 days ago, 1 week. Thank you very much, Sister Bernadette, to take time to read it. And she knows Talitha Kum very well, but most important, she knows the human trafficking issue. And we appreciate her approach to the stories and to the lives of the victims and the survivors. We appreciate also the way she write about the human trafficking. We can say she is a friend of Talitha Kum. And what do you do with a friend? You ask their opinion about your life, about your choice. And then we did the same with Sister Bernadette. Then, Sister Bernadette, what do you think about this report? You are on mute.
I think that did it. Okay, so much for working in communications, huh? Anyway, no, thank you so much. It's truly a pleasure to hear those words. Truly, yes, I consider myself a friend. This is an area that tremendously needs good communication. And for any international faith-based organization, communication is of utmost importance in today's world with a culture of communication. And as Professor Guarini said, Talitha Kum demonstrates itself to be an effective network. And I would like to say that communication is key for any network to be effective. It needs both good internal communication as well as external communication. So Talitha Kum would not be that network that Guarini praised if it weren't for good communication. And as we know, Talitha Kum has been focusing on improving its communication for several years now, and it's only due to effective communication both to its members as well as to other groups that an annual report is possible. A robust report, as we've seen, has been produced. And I'd especially like to highlight the effort that former international coordinator Gabriella Bottani put into this area, first creating an effective internal communication plan that led to the creation of an external plan. Now, as we know, this is the second annual report, and once again, Talitha Kum demonstrates its communicative strength. Talitha Kum has a clear understanding of who you are, and you know how to communicate that effectively. That's very evident in the report. The communication we see is concrete and it's backed up by data. In other words, it doesn't remain ambiguous or abstract. So you're also communicating that we can trust you because it's concrete. And not only that, but we can only imagine that the communication within Talitha Kum that would be necessary in order to put a report like this together, especially in the area of the statistics, but also the stories that we've heard from various continents, not only from those who are responsible, who are a part of Talitha Kum, but also those whom you've served, and also the up-to-date communication that you're able to maintain, which is attested specifically in the area of the network in Poland, which was able to respond both in communicating up-to-date information regarding the ongoing humanitarian crisis that began last year, but also being able to communicate that locally to authorities so that things could take place in the ground, and that has to take place in a timely fashion in order to work. So these are some examples. The accumulation of data is also impressive, which means Talitha Kum has effectively put into place an internal reporting system that allows the easy input of data, otherwise people won't do it, but also that members are faithful to providing that data. But data means nothing unless it's analyzed and organized in order to create meaning that's communicated. And so there's a whole team that we heard before. So you also are to be commended. Again, we see use of up-to-date design and graphics accompanying the report. It's a few pages longer, but it also shows a unified communication style going back even to the launching of the logo, but also a unified approach also with social, the digital platforms. And as Alexandra said at the beginning, behind every statistic, there's a real life person, and we're reminded of that implicitly throughout the report because we hear either from people's personal stories or from those who work with them. It's important to provide the statistics, to interpret the statistics, but know how to translate and communicate them so that Talitha Kum has now an authoritative voice in the world to offer in order to raise awareness credibly for those who would otherwise have no voice, but also to plot the path forward, as we heard Professor Guarini say. in other words, what we can learn from those statistics. I do agree with Professor Guarini that some aspects that could be included in the future would be some financial analysis where the money is being placed, and there are ways to do that even without giving a lot of details. Also, the impact of Talitha Kum's collaboration with other networks, both non-governmental and governmental, as well as specifying exact numbers regarding the individual types of services, breaking down the 4 major categories. So I think also I'd like to see some innovations. This is the second time. It's definitely building on the report from last year. But the way things change in society, it would be good to give a fresh look each year, innovate something a little bit so that the report stays fresh while maintaining a unified style. So, and that's hard to get. As we know, one of the strengths of Talitha Kum is that it's women religious. And we're on the ground, but we live in a time when things change very, very quickly. So for example, someone who begins a 4-year engineering degree in September, by the time they graduate in 4 years, half of what they were taught will be obsolete. Therefore, I think it means for Talitha Kum, you need to be looking toward the future in innovative ways because things are changing so quickly. And you have the data, you to analyze trends, etc., so as to change strategy, not only in terms of service, but also communication so that you stay at the cutting edge. So all in all, I think that all of the women religious involved in the Talitha Kum network, as well as the organizations with whom you collaborate and who provide funding or other services, that we congratulate you about your communication style, once again demonstrated this year. And if past is prologue, I only see progress on the horizon, since strength in communication is absolutely necessary for an international organization to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Bernadette, for your inspirational and encouraging words. And yes, other ideas for the next report, then we will work all together. We can, create a committee. I have some idea. Okay, next time. Now is the time for the Q&A. Then thank you. And we are opening the floor for comments, feedback. If you have some question, you can raise your hands or you can write the question on the chat. Question or comments or thoughts? Yeah, I forget. Today is the day against the child labor. Yeah, and we are 1 month from the International Day Against Human Trafficking. Yeah, there is somebody, Olivia Umo, wrote, this is a very rich resource. Thank you so much. I have to leave to start our webinar on child labor. Yeah. I missed the recommendation of Professor Giulio Guarini. May it be shared again if possible. Sure, we will share all the document. The report on the website is already online, but for sure we will ask to the Professor Guarini to write and to share his notes. Yeah.
Abby, I think there is Sister Conchi who raised her hand.
Oh, El Salvador.
Buen día. You may go if you'd like to ask your question or share thoughts.
Hola, buen día.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for your work. So I would like to continue your work, but I see this work as a challenge in my religious life and my participation to fight this scourge. Of course, there are so many numbers, but there are also so many faces of people that are the victims of human trafficking, and especially in places of more vulnerability. So I'm a little bit worried. I would like to invite other people to join our challenge. And yes, this is a challenge because the congregation have less members, but we have different places, platforms, so we really can do something to fight against human trafficking, and also thinking about the faces of people. And thank you very much, Mayra, because she's always very attentive with us, and thank you very much for your work.
Thank you very much. And then Kayula Leza from Zambia.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute and it was, I couldn't get, I was trying to write, but what I wanted to find out was, does Talitha Kum do a lot of research or encourage its members to do scientific research or maybe information gathering to really understand in particular contexts what's really causing human trafficking, so that members or Talitha Kum itself, could encourage these members to address, those issues. I know awareness raising is all the time important, especially in our context, but beyond that, really it's about research. Does Talitha Kum encourage research doing, in Talitha Kum International, or members doing research?
Thank you. I don't know, Sister Mayra, Sister Abby.
Sure.
If you
Thank you, Sister Kayula. Sister Kayula is from Zambia. Thank you for that suggestion. Of course, it really depends on our the realities of the network. As at this point, we have not done a really detailed research as only at the grassroots level, at the national level, that we have been doing it. But it's a good conversation. Maybe we can continue looking at the possibility of doing a research. But as like you said, we're normally as a Talitha Kum, we work as a grassroots. Normally, it's encouraged from the bottoms up. We don't do it top down. So if you, as here, which many of you are involved at the networking at the local level, if you're willing to really do a research, we also encourage you. But like I said, we will possibly look at it. And as you know, research takes time, and doing it is, and resources is very important at this point. But again, it really depends at the grassroots level.
I'd like to come in here because in my work with superiors general or congregational leaders, I'm encouraging them that sisters would study this area academically, so that we have more and more sisters who have a professional qualification in areas both related to and research related to human trafficking. I do believe research has already been done by both by sisters and others in the field of human trafficking. I think one of the things that you on the ground could do is to help us identify research that has already happened in your country. But in a sense, one of the things I try to do to support your work in Talitha Kum is to encourage that younger sisters our sisters who have already studied social work in general would take this as an area of further study and expertise. I think we have to gain competence in the various new competences that are needed for tackling this area. It's not enough anymore just to have goodwill. We need, just the same way as for schools or hospitals or clinics, we need a good number of trained and qualified people. I think this is an area that needs to happen. And I see Adina has put in the chat, there are several research studies being done in Europe undertaken by Renate. So you can check that out. But in your country, if you feel the need for research, contact Sister Abby.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh, there is Isabel and Sister Birgitta Graham. Birgitta Graham, maybe first. You are on mute. Just a sec.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. I have a very burning question. Here in Kenya, we experience that many children have been sent from school because they cannot pay the school fees. The teachers are not paid. And my big question is, because these children are now roaming around, maybe at home, not always staying at home, and they are in big danger, maybe to be trafficked, and the safeguarding is not granted. So what can we do? Maybe others have experiences in order to bring a petition to the government, or because we cannot follow up ourselves, all the children, it is impossible. And maybe as Sister Laura is also here, she might have also heard about it. And what can we really do as Talitha Kum network? I'm now in RAD network here in Nairobi. What can we do in order to help there? Because it is a big issue. We had a child here of 14 years. She came here to ask for school fees, for help. And she said 3/4 of the children had been sent home because they didn't pay. So it is a very big issue, and it is a government school, not a private school. So what can we do as a Talitha Kum network? Do we have some possibilities to involve the government? Maybe some of you that is networking, you have an idea and you have experiences in that. I would be very grateful. And thank you very much for this safeguarding program. It gives a lot of new insights, and I think everyone participated. Thank you very much.
I don't know if Sister Isabella.
Une réponse?
Yeah. Sorry, Sister Yvonne. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, merci beaucoup, Sir Brigitta.
Thank you very much, Sir Brigitta. I think we talked about networking, and with regard to networking, you need to find at the local level, at the level of Kenya, what are the other structures that work to help respect child's rights, and particularly with the right to education. Maybe you would need to find those structures and work with them in order to find solutions at local level. You definitely have the UNICEF, you have also Save the Children, you have other organizations that take care of the problematic of children at local level in the country. So maybe try to collaborate with those organizations and come up with strategies to work together, what kind of advocacy you can have so those kids can really benefit from their primary education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Yvonne.
Thank you. And now I don't know if Sister Isabella was raising the hands. or
J'avais la main levée, c'était pour répondre à la question de la recherche au
I
Canada.
raised my hand to answer the question with regards to research. We have researchers in Canada with regard to empowerment. It's really important to well document, and it's really important to well document whatever we want to offer and to help organizations working. So we need to help people with the tools to follow their rhythms. So our research is not only in Canada, it is also opened to other people who are interested to be part of it. And we are looking for other groups who are interested to share and to work on this research. I think that research at the level of the causes of human trafficking is very wide, because a lot of elements can put people in vulnerable situations, poverty, migration, lack of work. But I think it's very important to lead researches, and usually it is at a local level that we can do them, we can realize them. But we are working to make them also to collect data and to make it available on an international level.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Sister Bernadette. She has to go. Are there any other questions or thoughts? Otherwise, we can go. Ok, let's see the last comment. In Egypt, surtout anche. Marion, please help me because I'm following the flow, but there are too many messages for me.
Yes, I think we also have some exchanges of information and on the chat. So, for example, talking about in Egypt, in RDC, what is happening. So yes, it's also sharing of good practice via the chat.
Then, sorry,
no, I was going to say maybe Marion, you could translate the chat in French so that people hear.
Yes. So right now in French we have Father Bernard Hugues who says in Congo, in Democratic Republic of Congo, there are many thousands of children who are how to say, forced to go out of their school, now in the streets. So we need advocacy for the respect of the school and respect also of gratuity in school fees. We have Sister Jeannette also saying in Egypt, especially in Cairo, we are now trying to help and save a little girl of 3 months who was sold by her parents. So we really have very difficult stories shared. We also had earlier a message from Sister Marie-Claude, who was saying that she wished that we had given more visibility to the activities happening in Wells of Hope in Lebanon, in Syria, in Jordan, and in Egypt as well. So Wells of Hope is included in the report, but maybe there are ways to continue working there. I don't know if already you'd like to respond to some of the comments in French that were said.
Yes, one of my responses is, since several of these questions involve education and the right to education, I'm wondering, can we contact the congregations who have representatives at the United Nations, particularly in New York, and to focus specifically on the rights of children? There are several, both individual congregations and networks of congregations, who focus on the rights of children to education and so forth. So I think we can liaise with others to really highlight what the lack of education is doing. you know, there, as somebody said, there are many vulnerabilities, but here is one that concerns children.
Sure.
So I think it's a very important one that you have raised. And I would suggest that as one strategy, and maybe you can think of other strategies.
Thank you so much, Sister Pat. That was very good suggestion, particular for today. This is the International Day Against Child Labor. But definitely we will do a network with other congregation. But I would like also to respond about the Middle East, especially with Sister Mary Claude comment. We are working on it, Sister Mary Claude. We're not, of course, excluding the Middle East. We have, as we just continue this pattern about presenting the infographics, but the Wells of Hope, particularly in this project of the Wells of Hope in Lebanon, we are also highlighted this in this report in 2022. But definitely we will look at it, how we really would like to integrate the coordination, particularly in Middle East. As like we said, just representation for the infographics, as we evolve our innovation ways, how to represent everybody, but you are included in this report. Thank you, Sister Mary Claude, for that comment.
There was also a question about Oceania as well, wondering why Oceania was not able to be featured. So if you can maybe say something about that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Oceania, as you know, we have only in 2 countries. We were working on is to really expand this network in Oceania. We are only represented to Australia. This is very, very strong, powerful network with this ACRAT. And also we are present in Talitha Kum, New Zealand, but we're hoping to expand in other Pacific islands. But unfortunately, due for an unexpected situation that our representative or the coordinator for Oceania, she's not well, she has a COVID-19, and she really apologized that she's not being represented. But of course, like I said, we're very tight notice, so we were not able to ask someone to represent the Oceania. But it's our, yeah, we have to understand. Thank you. Thank you for that comment.
And I think, Sister Abby, you are going to attend a meeting in the Pacific Islands.
Yes, this coming summer, I was invited, and we are invited as Talitha Kum really to represent to this conference, because some of the religious organization or congregation even are willing to collaborate with Talitha Kum. We are given a platform or a space to represent Talitha Kum and the issue of human trafficking in Pacific. So we're hoping, and we're very hopeful that we continue this conversation among the religious association. So myself and Sister Colleen, which is the coordinator for Oceania, are representing for this meeting. So that will be in Fiji. So we're hoping at least 500 participants in the conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Mariana, give me the green light to go ahead with the agenda, or if we have any other question. Or
I think we might have one last question from Sylvia, but before that, just want to go over also what was shared in the chat. There's Sister Birgitta who had asked a question, who is asking that we share with us the addresses of the congregations that Sister Pat, you mentioned, to go and further deepen what was said about education, so we can organize that after this meeting. And Father Albert, who I think is based in Morocco, but knows well the situation of human trafficking in North Africa, who is saying also situation of human trafficking in Mauritania is very high. So to be considered also for the next steps, I think, of Talitha Kum. So maybe Sylvia, if you have one last question.
Sì, parlerò in italiano. Non è una domanda.
Yes, I'll be speaking in Italian. This is not really a question. I just wanted to thank my professor, Giulio Guarini, and my professor, Benedetti, for giving me the opportunity of collaborating with this network and the analysis of data that we were entrusted with. I want to thank Sister Mara and Sister Abby, who have endured me while working together. It was a great experience, which I've appreciated. I didn't know anything about Talitha Kum, and I believe is paramount, especially for all youth. We spoke so much about youth. We analyzed a lot of data that gave us the opportunity to see how important it is for the networks to collaborate with the youth. And this made me want to tell all you do, which is so great, to my peers. So I believe that what you do is really, really important. I don't really know you, but I did get to know you a little through analyzing the data. And what you do is wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for that.
I just would like just to comment, and also mutual. Sylvia, your commitment, your volunteer service is amazing. So thank you. So you did this is the people, you know, not only showing you the paper, but here they are. So pleased to meet them, and thank you for your work, Sylvia.
Thank you very much. And now for the conclusion is the turn of Mary John Kudi-Ruppil, Associate Executive Secretary of UISG. Mary John, it's your turn.
So dear friends, please don't go away. Usually towards the end, many start quitting. Mine is to give some conclusions, so I can say anything, I guess. And what I like to say about this report, it's really an impressive report. And even the layout, the look of it is so good, I thought, and it's so professionally done. And I want to thank all of you for doing such a great job there. It's a real example of networking and collaboration, what we can achieve together when we pull together our resources, our finances, and our skills and training. And browsing through this report several times, I noticed this word networking. And I think it's precisely about that. This report is so comprehensive, and I thank each one of you. I think presenting a report is an experience of gratitude, certain sense of pride, fulfillment, and also achievement. And that is what I feel when I look at the Talitha Kum team here in UISG. I want to thank Sister Abby, Sister Myra for the report, Sister Abby for the overall leadership, and Myra for the data, and Sister Marion also on the next steps, and also the Sylvia, the intern, and other interns also who worked to produce this report. And I think it's a wonderful report, and I feel so good about the way it is done. It's very, very, very nice. And I thank Miss Alessandra for facilitating this Zoom meeting, also being very closely associated with Talitha Kum, all of you. And I thank all of you who have contributed to the content of the report, also to our people who fund, help us with the funds, and all those who contributed also to this meeting from the local coordinators at the international level and from the UISG Talitha Kum office. I think this report is different from other reports in that it really touches the lives of people in a very touching way, very combating this evil of human trafficking together. And I think that is where this report is different from just the report of a company, for example. So I hope and pray, and I am convinced actually that reading this report, people will really want to join this marvelous movement. And I saw in some parts of the report pictures of Sister Gabriela Bottani, who until recently led the network. And from this report and from the way Abby has been, going about in this leadership role, I felt that Sister Gabriela has really handed down very well to Sister Abby that she can confidently take this network ahead together with her team. And I thank each one of you very sincerely. UISG is very, very grateful for this amazing work that's being done. And it amazes me actually that a sister-led initiative such as Talitha Kum could reach this level of operational efficacy. And the proportion of influence and impact that Talitha Kum has reached at local, national, and international level. And I thank each one of you and for all that you have put into making this report, Sister Abby and the team in UISG, outside UISG, the youth, and all of you who attended this Zoom meeting, presenting this report, launching this report. Thank you to all of you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Sister Mary John. Then it's time to come to end. I hope you enjoyed as much I did. Thank you to all the great speakers and the interpreters. Thank you to Marco Soma, the graphic designer of this report. And for Sigma, thank you to Abby, Mayra, Miriam Di Bartolo, she's part of the communication team in Talitha Kum UISG. And thank you to Lisa Christine for the amazing picture you will find in the report. And please keep in mind that the report is online. I'm sharing the link on the chat. And at the moment is in English, but don't worry, in the next weeks, you will have in French, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese. As we say, the report is a tool, then read it, use it, and share it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alejandra. Get muted, but yeah, without, of course, Alejandra, she did a lot for this coordinating this annual report. But thank you so much. Thank you all, and hope to see you again, one of our webinars, and let's continue our work. Again, this report is available online, and you will find our website very more friendly user at this point, that we are also aiming to really to make this visible, as what Sister Bernadette said, the communication strategy. So this is one way to really progressing our communication. Thank you, Alessandra, Sister Pat, Sister Mary Joan, and everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Good night. Good afternoon. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Au revoir. Thank you.
Grazie. Thank you.
Gracias a todas, a todos. Bendiciones.
Gracias.
Thank you, Carmen. Muchas gracias.
Bless you.
Silvia.